everybody, welcome back to the Salty Show, and welcome back to our Karl Franz Let's Play on Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires Expanded Overhaul with, I believe, it's episode 14. Hope you guys are well today. If you're like and subscribe as always. Without further ado, we're going to jump into today's action. And first and foremost, please, if you want to see the biggest battle I've ever fought in, I believe, at least my Total War Warhammer series and my Total War series in general, potentially, skip ahead to the next chapter that we cover it in a replay. And it was by far one of the coolest things I've ever fought. We are going to do an overview of what we're going on here, dealing with Bretonia as Be'lakor pushes upon us at Lyonesse. I'm very terrified about that. And if you're a keen viewer, you might see that the mouse in my actions are not exactly linked up. And that is because I'm having to record this in post. This section, and only the campaign sections have been recorded in post. The battle I was able to do a replay of and fix the issue, but for some reason my mic managed to record something I don't even record on, so I had to swap that over, and I'm going back and redoing this. Thankfully, the battle was so amazing to me, I truly didn't mind having to go back and do the extra work. So, we have a lot of things to get through today, and we have a huge chunk of our campaign to talk about as we're pulling Karl Franz over to Grunburg to hopefully help Ludenholf hold the ground that he has secured, while Theon is going to join Johann in securing Western Bretonia. Obviously, Be'lakor is a huge issue, but more importantly, while he is a big issue, the Skaven cannot be underestimated, as they own over 15 settlements against the enemy, or against us. I definitely predicted Be'lakor is going to attack Lyonesse. Having a full stack in the city garrison, we are as equipped as we can be with such a short notice. But thankfully, we do have a full stack, and we managed to recruit enough in there to where we might have a chance. We're going to end the turn and see what happens, and see what becomes of Be'lakor. And thankfully, very, very thankfully, we're going to see that we somehow, as the turn rolls around, we, crazily enough, well, we deal with Wisland as they try to get us to join a war against the Bloody Hands. The last thing we want to do is join another war, despite it being $2,000 would be nice, but I don't want any more enemies against our southern border. And this is at the point where I realize that Wisland is not even at war with Vlad or the von Karsteins at all. She only has the Bloody Hands, and I do notice this, and I'm willing to join the war against Bloody Hands if they're willing to do that. But there's just apparently such a huge negative to where they don't even think it's a good idea. They're strength rank of 81, so they truly don't have a power base to stand on. So we're not going to do anything. Meanwhile, for some reason, Be'lakor, something happens to him. I don't know what happens or where he goes or what he does, but a different general places him, and he sails north. So we are safe, somehow, for the most part, from Be'lakor's incursions. Meanwhile, we do have some dangerous liaisons, and we have to secure support for Wisland just to make sure they don't rebel against us. Because they are on the brink of doing so, despite being truly tucked away in a corner and not doing too well. Meanwhile, we do have some level ups to get through with our Light Wizard, which I don't know how many more Light Wizards I'll be recruiting, as I do enjoy some of their spells, but I definitely don't think they're they're not as nice as some of the other ones I believe that we can get.
Yes.
But it's still nice to have it, and I'm going to play around with them. And Vlad is all but secured quite a few forces, and at this rate, I think it's going to be safer that I don't think Ludenholf can hold Flensburg. Flensburg is a one-tier settlement with no defenses. So right now, all we have basically is maybe a 27 stack that includes the garrison to hold Flensburg against the onslaught of Vlad von Karstein's forces. Originally, I was pulling Boris down south, but thankfully, we are going to work on him later as we assess the situation in Bretonia, where Be'lakor is gone. Also, I do apologize if you can hear Winston. We just got finished going on our daily walk, so he is catching his breath in the background, and I'm sure you might actually be able to hear it pretty well. But
Gladly.
With Lyonesse somewhat safer, I'm feeling a decent bit more confident, and with Be'lakor being gone and that being a 16 stack, actually greatly shows that we can take them down We are going to quick save because I don't want to risk the loss of a full stack and Lioness. So, but we can go in here and destroy Dimahar. Going to assign a banner to one of our Mariner units, but we are going to auto-resolve this battle, as I do think the auto-resolve is giving us a bit better of a chance against the Forsaken and the Wolves. With the army comp we have being full stack of archers and just basic spearmen, I'm far less confident in them if, say, I had some halberdiers. But with that, he gets to level up, and we will be giving him.
Yes.
I did go ahead and recycle all of the banners I did not have equipped or ancillaries, which I might come to regret as we continue to recruit more and more forces, but I did think that we're gonna get them back pretty quick. And with this, we are going to give Johann, I believe, Route Marcher and Emperor's Finest, as obviously those are usually my first two picks. They make a lot of sense. You're buffing your baseline infantry. And then we are going to, and I'm sure you all might be able to hear Luna in the background. She is outside, fingers crossed she stops, or I might have to do a little dip here in a minute. But we are going to muster our forces where we can, get rid of the units that aren't really here, because money this episode needs to be fixed.
It is time.
And with Bellicor gone, we're going to move to L'Anglais. We are going to try and colonize it and give it to Bretonia to establish their full control over that province and just sort of solidify that portion. As if they're unwilling to defend their territory and they were unwilling to take that settlement back, I believe the AI is basically done for, other than just protecting what it has. So we'll give them one settlement to complete their province, and then we're just going to leave Leon up in the north. It's unfortunate. I was going to give him all of Bretonia, but truly, with how he's been acting, I definitely do not feel safe giving him all of Bretonia. I feel like we might have to come back. Karl Franz and Ulrika are going to make their way over to Grunburg, and that's going to leave the garrisons of Hervon and Massif to hold the southeastern flank. Or, well, theoretically the west flank, perhaps. But with that, we are going to continue looking, and this is where I am pretty sure discussion... We can't hold Flensburg, let's be honest. It was an amazing battle that we had in the last episode that I'm pre-recording this before I release it to you guys, so I hope you enjoyed that episode. But with the patch coming out, and the next update is, a couple months away, and the patch comes out literally tomorrow, the day in which I'm recording this, I wanted to try and record before the save might get corrupted. Now, we are going to see how that goes, but for now, we are going to give Flensburg to Talabeclan as a buffer. They're not at war with the vampires, and they have quite a few armies, actually, so we can get some nice money off of it, and we're already very friendly with them and very close to confederating Talabeclan, so I see no issues in it. If they manage to take all of Stirland, confederating them will just be more of a priority, but they are still a trusted ally. Usually Talabeclan in the Empire, from my experience, my minor experience in playing Karl Franz in the Empire, Talabeclan doesn't do good, but in this episode, or this series, they have managed to hold on and stay neutral to everything and everyone around them, securing all of their home region, parts of Hochland at one point, and Ostland. Or Ostermark? I don't know which one. I think it's Ostland in the north. We are going to construct defenses in Northland, though, as we desperately need them at the capital Solzamund, Deichershofen, and Wrecker's Point. The more defenses we build up in these locations, the less actual forces we have to have up here in the north. And we are actually going to pull Boris back. Instead of sending him south, we're going to make Boris the Warden of the North, while Theodoric Gauser will give him the troops he has, but he's going to sit on the sidelines to save a bit of cash until we can give him a proper army. As his weapon, while good, Boris is a stronger leader, and he's gun experienced against Wolfric, so we need that. So we will be appointing Boris Todbringer as Warden of the North for now, and giving Theodoric's army a new change in command, just to save a bit of cash for now. Because yeah, you can see that gave us well over 600 gold back. It's enough, especially considering this is just basically a garrison force for the now. We don't need to be investing too much money into it, and there's nothing really to recruit up here, so we are going to just garrison in Dieterschaffen later, or
Raise Sigma.
Dieterschaffen is how you say it, I believe. And meanwhile, Corden, we are investing. There goes the defenses going up in Recro's Point. Gonna do our best to use the time we have while Wolfric licks his wounds to build up some proper defenses. I am desperately looking for financial buildings to invest into, but we are, I believe, eventually going to get the right stables and go from there. But with that, we are going to continue, like I said, looking for financial buildings and looking for things to spend a little bit of money on. This gaming corruption is proving to be rather troublesome that we are struggling to deal with. But hopefully by next episode we're going to quite a shift in that Skaven corruption as we are building up a lot of those watchtowers and things like that to limit the undercity concern, because there are multiple locations I believe that we hold that have undercities in Bretonnia. I don't think they've penetrated the mountains of the Northern Grey Mountains or Reichland or anything like that, but they are definitely scattered amongst Bretonnia. And I'm going to let you all listen to some lovely in-game audio as we move around and continue the search for building things and moving Corden around while I go let my dog inside. So I will be right back. So just enjoy some nice quality Total War Warhammer noises.
Sigma compels us.
Well, I do hope y'all don't mind that. I was truly hoping she'd be okay outside, but it was getting pretty toasty. But it looks like I didn't miss too much. We're going back as we are discussing our military recruitment options and getting that landmark building, the Reichsguard Stables, I believe is what it's called. We're going to find out. Castle Reichsguard Stables, yes. So we are going to do that, and that's just going to help us out with our Reichsguard. We don't have too many, but it is a landmark building, and I really want to get more of those rolling, especially in Altdorf, as we are running out of slots to put things in. If you guys have ever witnessed or watched my Three Kingdoms Let's Plays as Malakong before that finished up, near the end, we had to cover so much space. I actually did this on the regular, where I did post-action reports of a lot of merged turns and content. This will never happen in a Total War series as far as I'm aware. Like, that truly happened because I wanted to finish it, but I didn't want to make the series any longer as we were already hitting 40-some episodes. But this is just a situation of my audio messing up. And don't worry, I have remembered, and I will be going back in and basically disabling the other recording options to make sure it never happens again. But we are looking at more recruitment forces for Theon here. I was hoping to get some more battle pilgrims in this army, but unfortunately we don't have the recruitment options to do so. So we are going to pick up some base level swordsmen, I believe. Yes, because they are about the only things that we can recruit easily. And I was really wanting to get some artillery in this army, but they all take so long. I thought about getting the Outriders because 2 turns isn't nearly as bad, but we're going to continue moving with that and not go for that. I don't want that army to be stuck there for 4 turns. We don't have 4 turns to spell, but spare. But what we do have time to do is recruit a battle wizard or 2. And I'm going to go through and look through quite a few of these, but my immediate guesses on picking them up are going to be the Grey Wizard, as I do read through most of the descriptions here. The Grey Wizard, and seeing what the multiple lores do. But we are going to look at maybe the Grey Wizard, the Amber Wizard, or the Bright Wizard. Those are sort of the top 3 picks that I had. The Grey Wizard because I felt it was kind of appropriate. They look a lot like witch hunters, so I felt they might have a keen sense of dealing with the Skaven. But the Bright Wizard, I gotta be honest, I'm a man of fire. I like fire a lot. I'm actually a man of water, but when it comes to elements, but when it comes to dealing with Skaven and the amount of units that they can deploy versus their quality, having a guy that can deploy fireballs and burning heads sounds pretty nice, especially when you can get Battle to Cure, who is confident, which grants him an extra 10 leadership, and I believe +2 for the whole army. So we will be recruiting him, leveling him up. Going through a bit of the lore there, do stop and pause the video if you want to read. But we're going to be sending him to Theon to garrison his force. We have nothing to equip him with because obviously I got rid of it all, which I'm now learning might have been a bit too hasty. But we are going to give him Fireball, unlocking that any day now as I read over it. But we're going to give him Fireball, and then we are going to give him Burning Head. As I do look at the others like Kindle Flame, which is the nice passive ability with weakness to fire, and I really thought about it, and the Cascading Fire Cloak is just a buff, and the Flaming Sword of Ruin is also just a buff. Both of them I do plan on getting, obviously, but the Burning Head causing major magical and fire damage I thought would be extremely good to have against potential Skaven enemy or anything that they face in Bretonnia, as Theon kinda needs the extra work. He needs a lot more force. With Karl Franz not being over here anymore, he is the leading general. Considering he is a ranged lord, single lord entity that nearly died in the last battle he got involved in, I wasn't too confident in that. So we're going to give him a wizard. I thought about getting him a priest, but they're not really worth the money to me. Let me know in the comments below if you all have things that you deal with that you think they are. But to me, so far, they've not been very useful. They do a lot of buffs, though, which is kind of important. And we are going to end the turn. The legendary turn 70. Yeah. Okay. I do wonder. Let me know. Are you still watching? Did you make it through the first 17 minutes-ish of the series as I'm doing this poster battle? As I talk a lot more. I'm sure you all notice, as I'm not always thinking. And I do really enjoy the money, but I don't want to get any closer to Archon the Black. He is not someone I want to be friends with, but he has 15 territories, so that is a little concerning. He is a strength rank of 25, though, which is not the worst thing in the world. But I don't really want to continue to escalate connections with someone that is labeled the followers of Nagash, especially knowing who Nagash is, which I do know a tidbit. I know he's a bad guy, so definitely not something I want to get involved with. The non-aggression pact alone that we took a while back felt wrong just because we needed the money. Meanwhile, we are going to get through the turn. Wulfric is finally going to set sail and leave Nordland, hopefully for the last time, as we will never let him, well, come back the way he did. Fingers crossed, Nordland and the north of the Empire is secured. We are actually holding quite a bit of territory against everything. And this is me trying to discuss the continental names and me realizing that I do not know some of them. I know a lot of them. Let me know, are there continents? Is Cathay considered a continent, or is it truly just a nation? Because I know Ind, Nippon, all those regions, Nagaron, Lustria, Ulthuan, the Old World, but I do not remember what the continent of like the Badlands and Araby are considered, unless that's a part of the Old World. So let me know in the comments below. Do you all know what they're called? As I definitely struggled with there at the very end. But with Ludenholf pulling back, we do actually have a bit of time to level up, recover our forces, and continue going about our day. I do want to get Rally soon enough, and unfortunately I really hate that Honest Steel has been picked before we got him, but I do think we're going to get Pistol Core because that's just a nice thing, or we might get Hard to Hit. I can't remember which one do we get. I'm pretty sure we get Pistol Core. Yes we do. I only played it the night beforehand, so it shouldn't be too lacking on memories. And Talabeclan, thankfully, is doing exactly what we wanted. They're sending a full stack down to Flensburg to hold it. So I'm fairly certain it was a good move to make that buffer state and let them to it. And all of a sudden, Be'lakor comes out of nowhere. Be'lakor shows up on our front doorstep again with a full stack. And now Johan is sitting in the middle of the ocean with not even a full stack. And we're at the force march back to Lioness to make sure we have that place garrisoned. which is just terrifying. I was shitting the bed at this point with Be'lakor right on our doorstep and not even being a full stack anymore. So we're going to very panically try to recruit forces and realize there's not much we can get. I think about recruiting another lord, potentially the Arch Lector Hans Volkmann, as he has already been bought for. He would only increase our upkeep, but it would go up by like 1,000. So I didn't think it was worth it. I figured that we would bite the bullet. If they try to take Lioness, we will fight with what we have. And it's just a mistake that we'd have to live with. It is just a mistake that we'll have to live with. Everything else is pretty safe for now, so if we can contain Be'lakor, we would. Meanwhile, though, Ulthuan is under siege. The Skaven have truly been allowed to run amok, and they are doing so at a increasingly scary speed, with the fact that there are multiple undercities, of course, in Bretonnia that we have not discovered yet. But along with that, they're now invading Ulthuan. I know you guys probably didn't see it on the camera there, as I didn't notice immediately, but they have besieged Tor Yevris, the capital of Yevris, and what's his name? Oh no, I can't remember his name. Oh, who is the leader of Tor Yevris? He's so cool. Itherion? No, I think I'm messing up. Let me know in the comments below who it is, as I cannot remember. But we are going to start recruiting forces for Karl Franz as best we can, as we are kind of slacking on the money. And I really want to get some more Hellstorm batteries going. And I'm really trying to scrounge around for cash, as I'm trying to see what we can do and where we can. We are going to push to Borderlow eventually, but for now he's going to stay there. We're going to go ahead and garrison Dieterschaffen with Boris. He's got a pretty sizable army. I really don't think we need to recruit any more troops. Nothing of note anyways. I'd like to get some artillery in there potentially. He's got a pretty normal stack. Going against Wulfric, he brings a lot of mammoths, meaning we need the strong handgunner line to knock down the big entity units. But more importantly, we also need the anti-large and armor-piercing halberdiers. They have been pretty crucial to defending the north, and I do think it's quite on point that Nordland gives you mariners to defend the north. I do apologize, Logitech G-Hub is going on. But we are going to try and colonize Grunburg to unite the rest of the Great Northern Grey Mountain Province. Going to try and very quickly look for some deals to make a little bit of money. We could make a lot of the followers of Nagash, but for some reason the Sanyo clan want military access. We'll take it. We'll get a couple more bucks from them. And with that, not really anyone else I'm willing to deal with at the time, like I said. But we do have maybe a building or two that we could cancel. That colonizing Grunburg, I think, would go a little longer in securing that province and giving us the commandment options. So we're going to stop building the Night's Watch there, go back up here and get Courting to colonize Grunburg and hold it, securing that province in its entirety and building it up, allowing us to get the, I believe, the control, or I might go with control. No, I think I go for control. I don't remember what I do. Pretty sure it's control. Yes. And level that up to its first tier. All of that, we are eventually going to put Corden back in Marienburg, and Marienburg is going to become quite the money, the cash cow this episode, as we explore later on in it. Without further ado, there are a lot of concerns, there's a lot of problems going on, but we are looking at our objectives. I'm discussing here the fact that we are very close to achieving Route 1. We actually need to only take the Lorelin, or Laurel, I'm trying to think of other ways to pronounce that. Lorelorn Forest? We only need to secure that region, and we would actually achieve a victory objective in securing the northern part of the Empire, Route 1. I am not going to focus that down yet unless it becomes extremely crucial and if it gives us the Empire achievement. But as for now, I'm just going to let things run their natural course. We will take it in the future. I would love to have made them in a defensive alliance with the Wood Elves, or the military alliance with them, as they can keep their settlement in our lands. Fully do not care, but they refuse to expand upon any sort of diplomatic alliances with us, so we are really sort of just stuck dealing with that, and we will be going about that in a poor way, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the High Elves are desperately asking for help, as I have just found out Torjevris has been burnt to the ground. The capital of one of the strongest High Elf factions has fallen, and there goes one. I do apologize. She is rather loud all the time, but Torjevris has fallen, and that is terrifying. We are going to review some of this stuff and continue making our way there. There was a weird little faction encounter, the College of the Pyrotechnics, as a independent faction, but Be'lakor has made landfall. That is the most terrifying thing to see in the morning on your pleasant walk out in the peasant fields, is the fact that Be'lakor sits there staring at Lioness, ready to attack. But more terrifying than that, Torjevris is gone. I truly don't know if they will ever recover. And the Skaven could truly run amok. They could truly destroy Ulthuan if Ikit Claw is not deterred in some fashion or cut off from his empires. And that is the decisions, that is the call that we're going to make. It's time that we get involved against Ikit Claw. He is a strength rank of 15 with 11 settlements. We are stronger than him, but I think we desperately need to get involved. We can't sit idly by waiting for the High Elves to perish. Our garrisons, they're just going to have to be enough. Peravon and Mastor are both walled settlements, so they have a stronger chance of holding out. So with that, securing Borderlo and Musalon are going to be the top priority, and we are obviously going to discover a Skaven settlement there. We're not going to declare war on them by ourselves, per se. I just wanted to get a good look at it and see what the garrison held, as we don't want to throw Theon over his head and immediately lose, but we are also going to bring up our Bright Wizard to make sure he gets some level ups and we can start deploying that. And I'm not going to be too stupid. We're going to quick save before we do anything crazy, and we are going to engage in some diplomacy with the High Elves to get a bit of money from them, because that's kind of our limiting factor when it comes to all of this, is money. I almost made a misclick there by declaring war on them by myself, but do not worry. I remembered. I do hate that the followers of Nagash have a stone in the middle of our territory, but it is the least of our concerns right now.
Help me avenge my father.
So we will be getting some money from them, just determining what we can get. Yorvris is willing to offer 16. Koth is also at war with them,
Can I offer a
but they are unfortunately only willing to offer 12. Despite being a 2-tier settlement, or a 2-level settlement, Torjevris has a lot more money, and they're a lot. I think they're a lot more scared of Ikit Claw, considering they're sitting at 96 strength rank, meaning Ikit Claw has completely destroyed Etherion the Grim.
Necessary.
I'm struggling to say the words today, but that's who I was talking about earlier, I see. But we are at war with them. We are going to lay siege to Borderlo. I actually didn't think we'd have to lay siege to them for a turn, but we will build up a battering ram and take them down next turn. And hopefully this will start to diminish Ikit Claw's effectiveness as he wages his ungodly war in Ulthuan. Fingers crossed, anyways. He could turn around and completely destroy us, considering he's got 3 to 4 stacks over there right now. We have more than him somehow. Our armies are better, but you all saw in the battle against those rebel Skaven that they're just not my forte. The warpstone tools that they have at their disposal are just insane. But with that, we do actually have a good bit of cash, meaning we will be able to start recruiting some new units. I am looking at trying to get the Hellstorm or the volley guns, as both of them are pretty good armor piercing. The Hellstorm being anti-infantry is pretty good. But as we do have a nice strong handgunner line and halberdier line along 3 heroes, 3 cavalry, we're looking pretty solid. But we are, I think we're actually going to redo. I know I have picked getting a Hellstorm rocket battery, But I'm pretty sure we're not going to. We're actually going to eventually pick up some great swords, as we need some infantry that's good at taking down other infantry effectively. And we can get great swords at silver rank 3. So we will be getting the great swords. And in fact, I believe, I'm fairly certain, we don't pick up that extra battery. We definitely don't. I promise we don't. There's no way we do. There's just no way. We are, though, going to take that off. And this is looking a bit scary. I did not really pay attention to it at the time, but this is a lot of vampire armies. This was pretty terrifying. He has five armies in Stirland and Aberheim right now, and they are coming for Grunburg. You can't see it now, but we will see it in a minute. They are steamrolling towards Grunburg. They are upset, and they are coming for us. We are going to move Corden out and push him back to Marienburg, as Marienburg is suffering some public order benefits or issues thanks to the Bellicor's agent down there causing some problems. And yeah, as you can see, he's just being an ass. He's got a cool name, Death Metal, but he is definitely not doing hot. We are, though, in a sticky situation with Bellicor not besieging us this turn or attacking us this turn. It did give us a bit of an opening to where we might be able to recruit some new forces, but I do think we're going to just hold off. This, yes, I am correct. Yes, we get rid of the battery over there to try and see if we can recruit anything over here, and we're going to redeploy our Emperor's Decree, giving us requisition, which is going to open up the way for immediately recruiting more electric count units, which is really good. But we don't have a lot of cash to spare, and we can't see a lot of his army, so unfortunately it's hard to know what we truly need, as we just kind of have a mosh-posh force of men in Johann, a ragtag band of units. But basing it off of Bellicar's force, we know that we need some anti-large. It's just the question is, where do we want to prioritize? We can only get maybe 2 units max. And the great swords are unbreakable, so that's pretty good. But the Mariners would give us another anti-large unit, and they hold a lot stronger. However, we have no swordsmen other than great swords. And our options are quite limited. Very, very limited. I do struggle with this for quite a while, actually. Debating between which 2 units I want. And I do believe, yes, I'm going to go for the great swords and the Nordland Mariners. That gives us an anti-large unit, and it gives us another unbreakable greatsword. I do look at trying to get some units over here from Bretonia, but it doesn't matter. We don't have the money, and they wouldn't be ready. So we are going to save our cash there. Meanwhile, the north, thankfully, is looking safe. Looking safe being the key word there, as we Wolfric licks his wound across the, I think it's the Frozen Sea or the Ice Pack Bay. I don't actually remember what that piece of territory is called, but things are getting crazy. Things are picking up, and we are getting pretty busy. Grunburg is going to be the site of the massive, the battle I have never fought before in Total Warhammer 3. Truly, it was actually really fun. It was really fun, and I'm so glad I played it. And it really shows. I don't know. I think it shows that I have not played Warhammer when I saw this battle, and I saw what we were going against, and I was just stunned the amount of forces that they were bringing. Definitely stay tuned. We are getting close to that battle if you haven't already skipped ahead. But as you can see, Ikitclaw is just destroying Ulthuan's outer cities. He just, I think, sacked Tor Karali? He just sacked that. He didn't raze it to the ground, but he has 4 stacks over there. He's not pulling back any forces yet, but he is a big threat. And another threat, unfortunately, the Lorland Forest Elves, for some reason, don't like us anymore, and they have broken their non-aggression pact with us, which means I do truly need to prepare potentially for war, with the elves over there. Thankfully, Boris isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but it is a concern. Speaking of concerns, we do have brave herds just starting to touch, but this is it. This is where I realize shit is about to get real. There are a total of 5 armies, and Vlad von Karstein is involved with him, bringing up the rear. 5 full stack vampire count armies full of skeletons, zombies, Varkheis, heroes, mages, everything under the sun. And truly, I was pretty terrified. I thought there was no way in hell we could deploy, like, had this been later on in the campaign and we had forces that could be moved elsewhere, this would be one of the times that I would try to summon the Elector Counts to give Karl Franz the upper edge, and Ludenholf, as they had their backs were against the wall. They really were. We are looking at some of Orica's spells, which is nice having a new legendary hero to deal with. I saw her when she was released, so pretty cool to have her involved and looking at her unique skill tree. And she actually has the Blight of the Skaven, which I did not notice. That is something I'm definitely going to look at later. I figured she would be pretty good going against the vampire counts, considering she's a bit of a vampire herself.
The Empire.
Interesting enough. But with that, obviously, Ludenholf needs help. And he needs a lot of help. So we are going to move Karl Franz. I'm going to try and get us a bridge battle, which I don't know if bridge battles necessarily exist in the game anymore. I know there's been a lot of talk I saw over the last months about it. I believe some of them are still in the game, but getting them are pretty tricky. So I do try to deploy on the bridge here to give us that battle with Karl Franz, because if we could get a bridge battle with 2 stacks against, it doesn't matter how many they have, it would be a lot more manageable. But I am also going to pull Ludenholf out of the settlement to make sure the AI doesn't pull a little tricky move where they besiege Grunburg and then Karl Franz is by himself. We definitely don't want that involved. So we're going to have all 3 armies reinforced separately to make sure that none of them can get really caught out by themselves. And with that, Karl Franz needs a full stack, and he needs a full stack now. But the question is, what do we need? Ludenholf is bringing with him quite a bit of infantry, a good bit of artillery pieces. Karl Franz needs some artillery himself. And we're going to risk it for the biscuit here, and we're actually going to get the Tempelhof Luminarch, a unit that I do not see often, and it has very low rate of fire and not a lot of missiles. But that missile strength of 2,500 damage, I thought we could not pass that up. I really did. It was a risk because it's extremely expensive, and it could have been really bad for our army to waste that slot. But we are going to grab the Tempelhof Luminarch, and we have just a bit more cash where I do think we grab another unit of handgunners. I think. Yes, we do. We will grab a Sunfire. I believe that's what they're called. Gunder's Sunfire, potentially. Yeah, Gunderman's Sunfires. We will also be grabbing them to give Karl Franz a full stack. And going from there, his Grunburg sits as ready as it's ever going to be. The only thing better we could do is potentially have walls for Grunburg, but that just isn't going to be the case. So we're going to have to hold on to your pants, and hope for the best. Meanwhile, Bellicor has besieged Lioness, and that makes me think, so we can win this. We can take him down, and the auto-resolve actually says we can do it. So, with that, and with the impending huge battle against Vlad and the vampires, we're going to auto-resolve, and we're going to send Bellicor packing back to the sea from archers and spearmen without shields. But we did it. Bellicor has been handled for now. He has been defeated, and the title goes to Johann, a man that we just recruited, all of a sudden becoming one of the most influential generals in the Empire by defeating a demon prince.
What does the Emperor
which he does obviously level up a little bit, so we're going to give him Emperor's Finest. And with that, we have a bit of breathing room now, and we're going to go especially with Ikit Claw and the Skaven not coming for Lioness or anything like that. And Bellicor is far on Albion now. And we do actually see that I can get an aggression pack with these random rogue armies. And I will be taking that because they are willing to give us a grand. But Bellicor is pretty far away. He is sitting at a 1 settlement, 47 strength, meaning he maybe has 1 army that he has up there waiting to be recruited. So we have a bit of breathing room in the north, and we're going to use that to go colonize colonize it, and then we are going to go ahead and gift it. I was very worried about doing this, but I do enjoy the fact that Bretonnia will have a full settlement that marches Corone, and we can give them that settlement.
How fares the Emperor?
Is it a good idea? I truly don't know, but fingers crossed. They have almost 3 full stacks and a lot of agents. I'm hoping they can hold 4 settlements. I really am. I do want some cash, though, as much money as they're willing to offer. But then that's really it. I don't want them to do too much. We're going to get them to go to war with Clan Molder just because I don't want the positive to be in their favor.
I am
but they now own all of that settlement, granting them a bit of a boon. You can definitely call us the good guys of the Empire, considering we are not claiming all the land that we could. And despite the fact that Leon has done nothing to save Bretonnia, we still will give him that last settlement. But that will be the last settlement that we give him. Meanwhile, we are going to take Borderlo and secure it for ourselves, as we need to very, very quickly try to establish some form of border protection against the impending return of Ikit Claw, or potentially the southern incursion from new armies that we don't know exist yet. But with Borderlo, we do have a garrison, and we will immediately be going for those basic walls to increase that protection against incursions. We don't want Theon, basically Theon and Johan, neither one of these armies can truly die, because if they die, things get problematic very quickly. But the Bright Wizard did level up. We're going to max out his fireball decrease, and Theon himself leveled up as well. I do think we're actually going to give him... We're not going to give him any of these second tier abilities because none of his army is rank 7 or higher yet. So we are going to hold off on that. But we can go in and give him some unique abilities, such as the Brass Lunged, as I do think we're going to keep him close to our infantry this time. We're not going to send him away like we did against the Rogue Army, where he nearly lost his life to some Skaven ogres. But I do apologize. I freaked out because my audio headset turned off, and I was a little worried it just stopped recording there. But I'm obviously having to record this with no audio to make sure you all get my voice and just my voice separate from the game, and you don't hear the game twice. But we're going to use the last little bit of cash that we have to deploy some new resources. And yeah, this is going to be an epic battle, and it is right around the corner, everybody. It really is. It's coming up. But we do actually have some money-making buildings left to pop into these places, particularly in the next turn, Marienburg. They have some pretty big economical buildings that I was unaware of. We are also going to level up Dietrich Schalper to make sure we can get some basic walls in there. The commandment for the River Bryn, we're going to deploy. I believe we're going to deploy some corruption reduction, because the Skaven issue, you know, there's definitely an Undercity there or something. At least in Aquitaine. And Johan is going to pull back to Lioness once we get that force going there. But without further ado, Bretonnia is looking rather safe. It's far less of a concern than what we have going on in Grunburg. We are going to quick save, and we're going to end the turn. Obviously, we know what's coming. We know what's around the corner as Vlad and his horde of undead close in. It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying to see this pop up on my doorstep, considering we only had 2 armies that we could basically deploy against Vlad. And his turn is almost here. He is swiftly upon us. Sylvania attacks Ludenholf. So they have managed to bypass Karl Franz, but thankfully Karl Franz and the garrison are able to deploy still, and it's actually a close victory based off auto-resolve. And this, everybody, is the battle that you've been waiting for. It's the battle that you probably clicked on. We have a huge ridge to defend. We have it in our deployment zone, and we have reinforcements. We're going to quick save one last time, and let's kick some vampire ass. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the biggest battle I have ever fought in potentially my whole Total War career, or just even knowing this series. I'm still stunned. My jaw is still on the floor at how big of a battle this was and how much fun it was. Honestly, for someone that's not played a lot of Warhammer, this was just such a blast as we went against the undead horde of enemies and heroes with Vlad, Isabella. I mean, this is a multitude of death and destruction is coming for us. Our biggest blessing is the fact that we have a sizable amount of men, roughing around 5,000 total, maybe just under, going against Vlad's combined strength of around over 9,000 troops. But we have been given a huge blessing as a cliffside defensive structure that we can atop our amazing artillery pieces and fire abundantly into the enemy, while this flank, starting off with, is protected and will be protected for the entirety of the battle, with Ludenholf leading the front, supported by hand gunners and the cavalry over here in the back line. Meanwhile, in our right flank, we do have our secondary army coming in here with the Tempelhof Luminarch ready to snipe the enemy away, and we are forming a secondary defensive line down here around our reinforcement point with our handgunners, great swords, and more halberdiers, and Ulrika shall lead the defensive measures on this side, along with the aid of Karl Franz, as the enemy divides their forces as they must. One of the biggest reasons I was deploying my troops down here is I was really worried that the Hellstorm was going to not make it. But starting out first, we obviously have some engagements with our cannons, but the first battle will be over here, starting with, I believe, the first kill going to the Tempelhof Luminarch as he begins to snipe the carriage, taking away over 1 or 2/3 of its health, while Karl Franz will target the wizard getting just a little too close for comfort to our artillery piece. He's going to swiftly deal with her, while the Tempelhof Luminarch absolutely destroys that unit. And fun fact, everybody, this battle was so amazing that despite me having to re-record this whole episode, everything you see in this episode, I had to re-record twice because my audio, for some reason, switched over to a input that I do not use. And none of the audio worked, other than the in-game audio. I'm very grateful for the in-game audio, as I can re-record my voice. But Karl Franz is going to have some bigger fish to fry once he's done with that wizard. But for the most part, our army sits atop and ready. Unfortunately, Isabella did kind of confuse us over here as they pop spells and they do that. And she comes over and she wants to get a picking of our exposed handgunner line, which was a little unfortunate. Immediately going in there and getting a couple kills and knocking Ulrika down, but she won't be having that. Ulrika has a thing or two to teach her. Meanwhile, our main line is about to be engaged as the enemy skeletons and the rest of their forces prepare themselves. And Ludenholf braces. He tells his men to combine themselves. Holds firm. Brace. Brace for the undead hordes that sweep across this land. If we fail here, all of the Empire will be left torn asunder. And with that rallying cry, the men brace, and the horde crashes to the enemy. Starting with the zombies and the skeletons getting in here, marching their way against our front lines as our halberdiers pick them apart. With our flagellants not guarding the left flank, it will be left up to the Cav and the Griffinites. Looking absolutely gorgeous in their regalia, I guess that's what that would be. Our Cav braces, they are prepared, and they've been given the order to charge. What a stunning view. The thunder quakes as more enemy spells come in. But we have spells of our own. Ian showing while he cannot be left to his devices as he rains hell upon the enemy. Meanwhile, this left flank, we are dealing with quite a precarious situation as Vlad and Isabella are dealing some decent damage, but we are containing them pretty well as our greatswords get in here and charge against the skeletons. And Karl Franz has dealt with the dragon. I'm truly speechless, I really am. Vlad is still standing strong, taking out quite a few men with him, but our handgunners will get to him very shortly, as they're focused primarily on dealing with the enemy wizard, pushing Isabella away from her husband, as they don't need to be together. The Luminarch absolutely sniping one of the enemies there. And now our main line is contending with quite a bit of issues, especially our cav, as they're stuck dealing with units that are actually a decent counter. Particularly the Vargheists, which our handgunners will be dealing with just a little bit. Taking some initial casualties, but we are redeploying some halberdiers to the front lines, men. To the front lines to defend your men. Meanwhile, Ian is still aiding Ludenholf on the front as the man, the myth, the legend just goes in here and is taking skulls for his house. He's gonna have a trophy mounted at this end of the day with Vlad's head on a pike. Our Empire Knights are in the thick of it, dealing with the scuttled remains of the enemy's right flank, helping out Karl where they can, and trying to protect the handgunners from any more damage from the Vargheists as we pull them back. Which they do crumble, thankfully, with that extra aid. And with it, Isabella is engaged, and I believe if that's the case, that means, yes, indeed, Vlad himself is done for, and Karl Franz is going to make sure Isabella joins him in death. The couple is done. Vlad and Isabella lay slain on the battlefield. I actually might be able to pick his corpse out very quickly. I remember where he went, where he died at, but I won't linger for too long, as we have so much to get to. This right flank, though, with Vlad being done for, our artillery is going to relocate along with our great swords and our handgunners, and they're going to mop up what remains as we focus primarily on this first wave. And as you can get a sense of refreshment, a breath of fresh air, you could say, as while we are still fighting some units, it's a bit of a break. It's a bit of a calm before the coming storm is not done. As while we sit, that guy is, we can tell our men to breathe, reform your ranks. We don't have much of a reprise waiting as the enemy are flooding in as we go back into the big mode. You can see a huge line of hostiles coming in from their reinforcement points, sending us over 9,000 forces involved in this battle. And there are some heavy hitters, the Hex Race, the Black Knights, and they actually do still have some wizardy boys still kicking about. Thankfully, though, oh, the Luminarch, man, how's it feel to get 2,500 damage done immediately to your face? But unfortunately, that was, I believe, the last shot of the Luminarch. So the rest of our range is going to come from artillery and our handgunners, which is going to be more than enough to deal with anything flying. Anything big enough to be shot over by our infantry is going to have a very, very bad day. But we are reforming our ranks, and it's back into the action as we deal with the second and third waves of the vampire counts clashing against our lines. our flagellants, the unbreakable men that they are, holding against Hex Race, really a superior unit. But you put enough bullets into anything, and it will fall. And that's exactly what we're gonna start doing. Absolutely devastating them. While we hold the front line, our cav gets a bit of a reprieval. We're waiting.
This is blasphemy!
Gives us a good chance to look at how badass these Griffinites look. Absolutely amazing. Next to the Reichsguard, the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and then even the lowly, quote-unquote, lowly Empire Knights waiting. As you can see, we are finally redeploying the rest of our army as this flank has secured itself victory as we mop up the little bit that remains. In fact, actually, they're finally done, and it's time to get moving. The rest of our men need us. Starting with this front line. Let's check in on Ludenholf as he goes toe-to-toe with things that are beyond his imagination. The man is a badass. To the likes of everyone that's been in this engagement. And speaking of badasses, you'll notice Karl is absent from the battle. And that's because we need him for future battles. He unfortunately took a bit too much damage, and we need him to lead the crusade for Sylvania. So Ludenholf will be taking charge of the defense for the remainder of this campaign, or this battle. Getting a lovely strike with our Reichsguard against the Black Knights, allowing the rest of our cav to move around. And putting our great swords to good use as we engage the enemy skeletons, trying to flank our brave halberdiers. This is truly one hell of a battle, and it was just so impressive. I had so much fun. Just getting in on the action here. Our handgunners are targeting the one range unit that the Vampire Counts had, making sure that they couldn't do any damage to us. But unfortunately, our knights are running into a bit of a problem, as they are being pursued by a Vargeist, the one thing that they probably couldn't exactly deal with on their own. But thankfully, they won't have to for much longer. I can't get enough of this front line, though. The unwashed horde of dead fighting through the ridgeline, trying to break the spirit of our men, but failing, and failing miserably. Even with Karl Franz out of the picture right now, they fight tooth and nail for every piece of land that they have. They will not give up this hill. If they do, they know Reichland will fall. We are sending our handgunners to the far left corners to aid the cavalry in dealing with the Vargeist. And despite how strong the Vargeist might be, when you line up 10 handgunner units, it really doesn't matter how much health you have. You're not gonna have a good day. And this Vargeist is not even at full health. And he's about to learn just how much damage a handgunner unit can do, as we instantly get him in one volley with the amount of guys that we have. Our second line has reforged. The enemy, though, with no lords of significant value, begin to crumble, and go back to where they came. And that is victory for the Empire, victory for Sigmar. And Karl Franz has saved Reichland once more. Hell, that was an amazing battle. One hell of a trip, and everybody, I can't tell you how my jaw's on the floor. It's in the next room. We went against 5 stacks of enemies, and getting an overall slaughter done on the enemy, and getting a hell of a lot of kills. Obviously, I'm in post-recording this, and we did lose Ulrika in battle, but so many kills, and that was just an epic amazement of a engagement. Cavalry doing really well, our handgunners picking off, and the Luminarch, even the Temple of Luminarch that I was kind of worried about, being able to snipe the enemy was just so amazing. And with that, we are going to push the enemy back look at them scatter to the wind. And I do hope you guys enjoyed the hell out of that battle as much as I did. And even if I had to re-record my audio, it is so amazing. And we do deal with some Beastmen attack electric counts, which we are going to send a military force to. But it's just, we're getting to get that out of there. Get that done with, aid the Talabecland, and go from there. My voice is actually pretty parched. I've been recording for about 2 hours straight now. We did lose Ulrika, but we had a lot of levels ups. And just, I'm amazed. With that, the vampire counts, at least for a turn or two, have been broken entirely. They have one army in the region of Talabecland or Talaheim, and we are going to not worry about them for now. I'm just crazy. We are going to go with getting, I believe, improved cavalry because we want to get our men ready. And it's the only one we've not actually gotten our first rank of research in. I thought about getting the enemies of the state, but with how expensive they were, I'm going to hold off for now. But we are going to get improved cavalry as we go about our day and go from there. I really gotta say, that was by far the biggest battle I've ever fought, I think, and I can't get over it. It was so fun. Karl, the wizards. Warhammer has never been so fun to me without this replay, or without this series. So I'm really glad I went into it. And we have a lot of level ups to get through. Aldrich truly doesn't even have anything left to level up. So I believe we are going to give him scouting, as it's the only thing that applies to him anymore. Because he's got everything else. He's been with us since day one, so he is level 36, and Karl Franz is going to get... we're talking about getting artillery master and maybe pushing more on the blue line, but I figured getting heroic knightly band could be good in boosting all the cav in our army. Along with that, hero recruit ranks going up as well. Owen getting some amazing skills as well. Checking out, I realized the light wizard doesn't get many spells from what I can see, or it's a lot more buff spells, so gonna have to see how that works. But we are going to primarily focus on actually getting his, as we look into this, I am investigating the spells and I'm seeing what he gets. So we got about 2 more spells to come, but we are actually going to go up into his star student line and give him a couple of getting a lot of these abilities to get that shining resilience that grants just damage resistance, which is great, and local corruption. Considering he's going to be in Sylvania eventually, we're going to need that extra corruption reduction. And Ludenholf, the man, the beast himself, we are going to level up as well, giving him imperial training, making him personally even stronger, and survival instincts along with war hero. We're with the battle where Ludenholf literally fought on the front lines the entire time. I felt it was only appropriate to give him that.
Huntsman General.
Meanwhile, we are going to move a couple lords around as we prepare for the crusade into Stirling and Aberheim, or Aberlin appropriately. Let's first start by getting rid of the very few remaining enemies. Even Wallman von Karstein. I didn't even see that name when I was fighting this. But we are going to mop up the rest of these forces swiftly, as there's not much that remains. But we definitely don't want them pulling back and immediately being able to just recruit lords and new heroes. No, we want them to remember what happened at Grunburg. We want them to remember that this was their demise.
The Empire.
I am truly stoked for this, and I cannot wait to get back into recording this. Because I'm obviously doing this in post, but it was just amazing. I'm so stoked. I'm only stopping because I literally have to go to sleep eventually tonight. But we're going to mop those forces up. We're going to pull Ludenholf right back up once we level him, increasing his heroic killing blow. And we're going to pull him back to Grunburg because, yeah, Herman, not a threat. He's already decaying. He's ran for some reason. So we're going to pull him back to Grunburg. We are going to get another Hellstorm rocket battery, as I felt it was pretty appropriate getting some high tier units. They're going to do really good with anti-infantry. And then we have the Luminar to snipe whatever we need to snipe. We're going to ignore how I had to redo this because I wanted to clear the enemy that remained. but we are going to stick to that path. Getting a lot of extra replenishment there for no reason whatsoever, but that is fine by me.
I am Franz. They
And
will
we
obey.
are going to get that Hellstorm rocket battery and go from there. And yeah, it was truly insane. Sylvania lies open. It is completely exposed. Meanwhile, over here in Bretonia, where things I thought were going to go really south, and they still might, the Skaven are only a tiny stone's throw away.
To battle.
But we are going to take the advantage while we can and go for Mussolini here to secure the western coast of Bretonia as much as we can before the Skaven come back to us. And I did think about pushing for Mussolini with Theon, but I felt as of right now we're in no rush, so I'm going to use John there to take it himself, as Theon is desperately needed to hold Bordello. Bordello being a walled settlement, I think it's a lot more important that we hold on to that. And we are going to spend our cold, hard-earned cash swiftly looking for things to build. And I'm really focusing on the economy, which we are going to very quickly realize where our moneymaker is going to be at. As soon as I realize, I was thinking about leveling things up, but Marienburg offers quite the cash cow as its unique buildings. Along with that, getting the Salt Works upgrade. And the weaver's shop, I believe. Yes, the weaving house will grant a lot of extra income, especially with Cord in there, and then getting the Imperial Tax House, granting a lot of money to us. And the trade is magnificent. And then I do think about getting the weaving house here, but to counter the fact that we are going to be taxing the Marienburg Burgmeisters quite a bit, I did think about getting protection as well, just in case. But we are going to go with the tap room to increase the control of the region, so that, fingers crossed, we don't have to keep a full stack with Cordon to make sure that they don't rebel, as they are dealing with agents, and that tax house is sure gonna piss them off. Thankfully though, Marienburg is very protected, so we can definitely get that tap room going and worry about it a little less. Meanwhile, the north is going to remain secure. Boris, saving the day in the last episode, can take a bit of a breather as Ludenholf and Karl Franz take the forefront of the action. And the west, for now, the west, Bretonia sits peacefully. I don't know how much longer that's going to hold. Probably not into next turn, but we are going to pop an Inquisition in Flimsburg to help Talabecland hold Flimsburg and reduce the corruption to 0%, meaning our armies can now march into that province. We are going to quick save and go about our day. That was a hell of a battle. We are set to engage the enemy in the next episode, securing maybe Wurtbag, what a name, Wurtbag and Everheim. If we can get 2 walled settlements, that'll be an amazing fortified line against the vampire counts, and I don't think at that point Vlad will be able to come out of Sylvania anymore if we can secure those 2 walled settlements. And hopefully Taliban can hold that as well. But with that, there is a lot of things to do, and if you guys enjoyed today's episode, like and subscribe as always. And I do apologize for the weird recording things here, but without further ado, I've been your host, Salty, and I cannot wait to catch you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.